Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Maharaj's message is your advantage. The following is a Chaitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj on June 11th, 2020 in Sridham, Mayapur, India.
Mahakaroti Vachalam Mangalangayathegaram Yatchipatavan Vande Sri Gurum Nilatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishram Hare Om Tat Sat. Glories of devotional service.
Glories of devotional service.
দাম্ভিকের বহু মূল্যবান দ্রব্যে ভগবানের উপেক্ষা আর ভক্তের অতি নিকৃষ্ট দ্রব্য বলপূর্বক গ্রহণ তদ্বিষয়ে দৃষ্টান্ত। দাম্ভিকে রত্নপাত্র দিব্য জলাশনে আচুক পিবার কার্য না দেখে নয়নে।
So the Supreme Lord does not even glance
So the Supreme Lord does not even glance
at the proud person's jeweled glass
at the proud person's jeweled glass
and opulent water container. What to speak of drinking? He doesn't even glance at that.
What to speak of drinking? He wouldn't even glance at that.
The point is that the Lord accepts water from His devotee.
The point is that the Lord accepts water from His devotee,
offered with devotion and love. A proud person may have a very opulent cup.
And a proud person may have an opulent cup
with jewels and everything. But the Lord is not interested. Bhakti-sutta Thakur said,
if anyone in the material world has many possessions, then he naturally becomes proud. Such a proud person then takes shelter of misconceptions like, I am the best, I am rich, I am the best collector of ingredients for worshipping the Lord, I am a great devotee. And Vaishnavas like Sridhar Swami are Mayavadis. Lord Sri Gaurasundara does not even glance at such people or desire to accept any of their offerings. The awe and reverence of this material world is unable to oblige the Supreme Lord, who is the object of Vishrambha Sakhya, friendship in equality, Vatsalya, parenthood, and Madhurya, conjugal love, rasas, or transcendental mellows.
যে সে দ্রব্য সেবকের সর্বভাবে খায়, নৈবেদ্য আদি বিধির উপেক্ষা নাহি চায়।
The things which are offered by the servitor of the Lord.
The things that are offered by the servitor of the Lord.
He fully accepts. He fully eats.
Regardless of what, he fully eats.
Whether the offerings are made according to all the rules and regulations.
Whether the offerings are made according to rules and regulations.
He doesn't consider.
He doesn't consider. The Supreme Lord forcibly yet affectionately takes even an insignificant item that is given by his poor devotee, and the Lord ignores items offered according to proper etiquette by wealthy, proud persons.
In the pastime of Krishna visiting the king of Matila
In the pastime of Krishna visiting the king of Matila Desh,
at the same time he visited the poor Brahmin devotee,
at the same time he visited the poor Brahmin devotee,
Bahulasva and Satava, or Siddhadev.
Bahulasva and Shrutadeva.
So that the king was very humble and opulent, but he was a devotee.
So there the king was very humble but opulent, and he was a devotee.
He offered Krishna a royal reception, royal plates, golden plates, jewel cups.
He offered Krishna a royal reception, jeweled cups,
But Sutadev, he had to borrow asanas from the neighbor,
but Shrutadev had to borrow asanas from the neighbor,
and he washed the lotus feet of Krishna and the Brahmins with him.
and he washed the lotus feet of Krishna and the Brahmanas with them.
And that he didn't have any opulent gift. They offered each one a lotus flower.
So he didn't have any opulent gift, but he at least found a lotus flower.
And offered each one. He offered each of the persons a lotus flower.
And he offered each of the persons a lotus flower.
Like this, Mahalasa offered opulent royal prasada.
Like this, Bahulashva offered opulent royal prasadam.
And Sutadev, he just had ordinary meal of rice, sabji,
And Shrutadev, he just had an ordinary meal, rice and sabji, dal.
So he was so happy serving Krishna.
But he was so happy serving Krishna.
He started dancing and crying
He started dancing and crying
as Krishna came to his house.
when Krishna came to his house.
But similarly, Mahalasa, since he was also a devotee,
Similarly, Bahulashva, since he was also a devotee,
he offered Krishna, he made his lotus feet and all the feet of the sages.
he offered Krishna, he bathed his lotus feet and the feet of all the sages.
He sprinkled the water, Chanamrita, on the head of his queen and the ministers and children.
He sprinkled their water, their charnamrita, on the heads of his queen, his ministers, and his children.
So he was crying and requesting Krishna to please stay for a few days.
So he was crying and requesting Krishna to please stay for a few days.
And Krishna asked the sages,
Krishna,
who is the better devotee?
so Krishna asked the sages, who is the better devotee?
So Krishna, he doesn't care, he was offered a meal by Duryodhana. He didn't accept it.
So Krishna, he was offered a meal by Duryodhan, but he didn't accept it.
He said, I've been invited to Vidura's house.
He said, I've been invited to Vidura's house.
I didn't take the invitation of the king
So he didn't take the invitation of the king
to go to his devotee's house, Vidura.
to go to his Vidura, to go to his devotee's house, Vidura.
অল্প দ্রব্য দাসেও না দিলে বলে খায়, তার সাক্ষী ব্রাহ্মণের খুদ দ্বারকায়।
If the devotee doesn't offer some food stuff to the Lord, thinking that it's not worthy of the Lord,
If the devotee doesn't offer some food stuff to the Lord, thinking that it's not worthy to be offered to the
the
Lord,
Lord takes it by force
the Lord takes it by
and
force
eats it.
and he eats it.
And that proof of that
The proof of that
is how the Viprasudama, Brahman Viprasudama,
the proof of that is how Brahman Viprasudama,
that how Krishna took his broken rice
that how
in
Krishna
Dwarka.
took his broken rice in Dwaraka. The Supreme Lord affectionately accepted the broken rice offered by Sudama Vipra, who was a resident of Sudamapuri, Dwaraka, modern-day Porbandar. For an elaboration on verse 462, one should see Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 81.
অবশেষে সেবকের করে আত্মসাৎ, তার সাক্ষী বনবাসে যুধিষ্ঠির সাত।
The Lord even accepts the remnants of his servitors.
The Lord even accepts the remnants of his servitors.
The proof of that, when Pandavas were in exile
The proof of that was when the Pandavas were in exile
in the forest,
in the forest.
the Lord ate the remnants of Yudhishthira Maharaj's
The Lord ate the remnants of Yudhishthir Maharaj's
leafy vessel.
leafy vegetables. The Lord accepted with pleasure the leafy vegetables collected in the forest and offered by Yudhishthir during his exile. For an elaboration on this verse 463, one should see Mahabharata, Vanaparva, chapters 261 to 262.
সেবক কৃষ্ণের পিতা মাতা পত্নী ভাই, দাস বই কৃষ্ণের দ্বিতীয় আর নাই।
Krishna's father, mother, wife, brother
Krishna's father, mother, wife, and brother
are all his servants.
are all his servants.
Krishna does not recognize anyone other than his servants.
Krishna does not recognize anyone other than his servants. The wife, father, mother, friend, and servant of Krishna, who is the object of worship, are certainly all his servants. The Supreme Lord's service, which is the wealth of the servants who are associates in the Lord's eternal pastimes, is executed by different servants in different rasas.
যে রূপ চিন্তায়ে দাসে সেই রূপ হয়, দাসে কৃষ্ণ করিবারে পারয়ে বিক্রয়।
The form that the servant meditates on,
The form that the servant meditates on,
the Lord takes that form.
the Lord takes that form.
The servant of Krishna is able to sell Krishna.
The servant of Krishna is able to sell Krishna.
In other words, since the devotee gives himself fully to Krishna,
In other words, since the devotee gives himself fully to Krishna,
Krishna reciprocates, gives himself fully to the devotee.
Krishna reciprocates and gives himself fully to the devotee.
The devotee is insignificant.
The devotee is insignificant,
Krishna is the Supreme Lord,
but Krishna is the Supreme Lord.
but he reciprocates with his devotee.
But he reciprocates with his devotee.
If the devotee wants to sell him, he can do that.
If the devotee wants to sell him, he could do that.
Because if Krishna wants to sell the devotee,
Because if Krishna wants to sell the devotee,
he can do that.
he could do that.
Once in Varsana, there's a place, Brahman came and he wanted to get some donations for marrying his daughter.
Once in Vrindavan, there is a place, Barsana, where Lord Brahma came,
Where Brahman came to ask Krishna for a donation
where Brahma came to ask Krishna for a donation
so that he could marry his daughter,
so that he could marry his daughter,
give the dowry.
give the dowry.
Oh, Krishna said, I don't have anything.
But Krishna said, I don't have anything.
My only property is Radharani.
My only property is Radharani. You could have her.
So she put Radharani on a sale. Said you can buy Radharani to fill the goldies. Put gold on the side.
So he put Radharani on a scale and he told the gopis to put gold on the other side. So they all gave their bangles, their gold.
So now the weight of Radharani was given gold.
So the weight of Radharani was given in gold.
And then he gave that to the Brahman.
And then he gave it to Brahma. Brahman, not Brahma. Sorry, I said Brahma a few times before.
Poor Brahman didn't have any dowry for his daughter.
A poor Brahmana didn't have any dowry for his daughter.
But just as Krishna was selling Radharani to raise money for this poor Brahman,
Just as Krishna was selling Radharani to raise money for this poor Brahman,
if the devotee wanted, they could sell Krishna.
if the devotee wanted, they could sell Krishna.
They would not do that.
They would not do that.
সেবকের স্থানে কৃষ্ণ প্রকাশে সদায়
The Supreme Lord got great affection for his devotees.
The Supreme Lord got great affection for his devotees.
Four Vedas declare.
The four Vedas declare.
And the Lord Krishna, he manifests himself
Lord Krishna, he manifests himself
out of his causeless mercy
out of his causeless mercy
to his devotees.
to his devotees.
কৃষ্ণ দাসের সর্বশ্রেষ্ঠত নয়ন ভরিয়া দেখো দাসেরও প্রভাব হেন দাস্য ভাবে কৃষ্ণে করো অনুরাগ
See the great influence of the devotees of Lord Krishna.
See the great influence of the devotees of Lord Krishna.
Fill up your eyesight with this and become inspired.
Fill up your eyesight with this and then become inspired.
To become attached
To become attached
to Lord Krishna in the mode of service.
Become attached to Krishna in the mood of service.
So these verses show how being a servant of Lord Krishna
So these verses show how being a servant of Lord Krishna
is so exalted.
is so exalted.
অল্প হেন না মানিও কৃষ্ণ দাস নাম অল্প ভাগ্যে দাস নাহি করে ভগবান
Don't consider the designation of being a servant of Krishna
Don't consider the designation of being a servant of Krishna
something insignificant.
as something insignificant.
The Supreme Lord does not accept someone as his servant
The Supreme Lord does not accept someone as his servant
who is less fortunate.
who is less fortunate. The topmost persons of this material world are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Not understanding this fact, conditioned souls with high aspirations ascertain various non-devotional activities as sadhana. Yet, the goals they ultimately achieve as a result of that sadhana are all examples of aversion to the Lord's service. When a human being's propensity for the service of the Supreme Lord is fully awakened, he becomes supremely glorious. The Lord's devotees, who always desire the benefit of others, pray that everyone's attachment to Krishna may increase. The object of service is pleased only by service. The endeavor to fulfill the desires of the object of service is called bhakti or devotional service. This conviction is manifested in the hearts of the most fortunate persons. Since the relishable taste of the Lord's service is not a subject matter of unfortunate people's realization, their good fortune is burned to ashes. The Supreme Lord does not award service to such unfortunate people.
Krishna can give his blessings of economic development,
Krishna can give his blessings of economic development,
sense gratification,
sense gratification,
liberation
liberation
very easily.
very easily.
Because after that, there's no commitment on his part.
Because after that, there is no commitment on his part.
But if he gives someone the service of being his devotee,
But if he gives someone the service of being his devotee,
then he becomes very much obliged to reciprocate with
then
his
he
devotee.
becomes very much obliged to reciprocate with his devotee.
Being a devotee is the most exalted position.
So being a devotee is the most exalted position.
বহুকোটি জন্ম যে করিল নিজ ধর্ম অহিংসায় অমায়ায় করে সর্বকর্ম অহর্নিশ্ব দাস্যভাবে যে করে প্রার্থনা গঙ্গা লভ্য হয় কালে বলি নারায়ণ
For many millions of lifetimes,
For many millions of lifetimes,
one performs his occupational duty
if one performs his occupational duty
with non-violence
with non-violence
and unpossessiveness
and unpossessiveness,
during all his activities,
and doing all his activities,
day and night, he remains in the service mood.
day and night he remains in the service mood
Praise to the Lord.
and prays to the Lord.
He is able to, at the time of leaving his body,
He is able to, at the time of leaving his body,
able to chant the name of Narayana.
able to chant the name of Narayana. By praying for the service of the Supreme Lord, one attains the good fortune of uttering the name Narayana and entering the waters of the Ganges at the time of death. This refers to the good fortune of having the ashes of one's cremated body immersed in the waters of the Ganges.
Every year at the Gaur Purnima festival,
Every year at the Gaur Purnima festival,
we have one day dedicated to worshiping the Ganges.
we have one day dedicated to worshipping the Ganges.
And they offer the ashes of the deceased devotees
And then we offer the ashes of the deceased devotees
in the Ganges water.
in the Ganges water.
There's a special ceremony.
There is a special ceremony.
My Purvashra mother, she wanted her ashes submerged in the confluence of the Galangi and the Ganges.
And my Purvashra mother, she wanted her ashes submerged in the confluence of the Jalangi and the Ganges.
তবে হয় মুক্ত সর্ববন্ধনের বিনাশ, মুক্ত হইলে হয় সেই গোবিন্দের দাস।
Then he becomes liberated,
Then he becomes liberated,
being freed from all the bondage.
being freed from all the bondage.
Thus, when one is liberated,
Thus, when one is liberated,
he becomes a servitor of Govinda.
he becomes a servitor of Govinda.
এই ব্যাখ্যা করে ভাষ্যকারের সমাজে, মুক্ত সব লীলা তনু করি কৃষ্ণ ভজে।
The explanation given by the Sai commenters on the scriptures
The explanation given by the
commentators of the scriptures
commentators of the scriptures
explain that the liberated souls get a body suitable for the pastimes,
explain that liberated souls get the bodies suitable for the pastimes
of Lord Krishna,
of Lord Krishna,
and engage in the worship of Krishna.
and engage in the worship of Krishna.
ভাগবতমের 10, 27, 21 শ্লোকে শ্রীধর ধৃত সর্বজ্ঞ ভাষ্যকার ব্যাখ্যা। মুক্তা অপি লীলায়া বিগ্রহং কৃত্তা ভগবন্তং ভজন্তে।
In his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 10.87.21, Sridhar Swami quotes Sarvagya Vishnu Swami as follows: Mukta api leelaya vigraham kritva bhagavantam bhajante. Eternally liberated persons accept bodies suitable for the Lord's pastimes and engage in his worship.
And the Supreme Lord descends from the spiritual world
So when the Supreme Lord descends from the spiritual world
to this material world,
to this material world,
he is accompanied by various disciples, expansions,
he is accompanied by various disciples, expansions,
associates,
associates,
and they take suitable bodies to engage in the service of the Lord.
so they take suitable bodies to engage in the service of the Lord.
That's why we consider all the associates of Lord Chaitanya
That's why we consider all the associates of Lord Chaitanya
as Nitya Siddhas,
as Nitya Siddhas,
eternally liberated souls.
as eternally liberated souls.
অতএব ভক্ত হয় ঈশ্বর সমান, ভক্ত স্থানে পরাভাব মানে ভগবান।
Therefore, the devotees are as good as the Supreme Lord.
Therefore, the devotees are as good as the Supreme Lord.
And the Supreme Lord agrees to be defeated by the devotees.
The Supreme Lord agrees to be defeated by the devotees.
অনন্ত ব্রহ্মাণ্ডে যত আছে স্তুতি মালা, ভক্ত হেন স্তুতির না ধরে কেউ কলা।
In the unlimited millions of universes,
In the unlimited millions of universes,
all the verses to be found
all the verses to be found
are not adequate to properly qualify the devotees of the Lord.
are not adequate to properly glorify the devotees of the Lord.
দাস নামে ব্রহ্মা শিব হরি সবার, ধরণী ধরেন্দ্র চাহে দাস অধিকার।
Brahma, Shiva, and others are very pleased to be addressed as servant of the Supreme Lord.
Brahma, Shiva, and others are very pleased to be addressed as servant of the Supreme Lord.
Ananda Shesha, who holds the unlimited universes,
Ananta
who supports
Shesha,
the universe.
who supports the universe.
He desires the qualification of being considered a servitor of the Lord.
He desires the qualification of being the servitor of the Lord.
এসব ঈশ্বর তুল্য স্বভাবেই ভক্ত তথাপিও ভক্ত হইবারে অনুরক্ত
All these controllers are equal to the Lord.
Are equal to the Lord.
They desire, and nature is to be a devotee.
Their desire,
Their
nature is to be a devotee.
Although even they are extremely eager to become devotees.
They are extremely eager to become devotees.
And the great controllers of the universe, like Brahma and Shiva,
The great controllers of the universe, like Brahma and Shiva,
they also want the qualification to be servitors of the Supreme Lord.
they also want the qualifications of being the servitor of the Supreme Lord.
So to be a Krishna Das is not a small thing.
So being a Krishna Das is not a small thing.
Actually, be a servant of Krishna or Vaishnava,
Actually, being a servant of Krishna or Vaishnava
most exalted position.
is the most exalted position.
You can't be God.
We can't be God.
And the most elevated position we can attain
And the most elevated position we can attain
be his personal associate as Bhakta.
is to be his personal associate or bhakta.
We should aspire to be the devotee of the Lord.
So we should aspire to be the devotee of the Lord.
So, about halfway through this chapter,
So we've gone halfway through this chapter,
and a long chapter.
and it's a long chapter.
So, I'd like to, if you have any questions, I can answer now.
So if you have any questions, I can answer now.
Oh, BBD Nrsimha Maharaj.
Question from Bhakti Vigda Vinasha Nrsimha Maharaj, Mayapur. When Lord Chaitanya came to Ramakeli, he was told not to go to Vrindavan with many people. But today we see devotees bring many others to Vrindavan. So is it wrong or not?
You see, Lord Chaitanya, when he was going to
You see, when Lord Chaitanya, when he was going
Vrindavan,
to Vrindavan,
thousands of people were chanting with him.
thousands of people were chanting with him.
So he was advised that he should not go with so many people to Vrindavan.
So he was advised that he should not go with so many people to Vrindavan.
So he accepted that.
So he accepted that.
And from Kanainath Sala, he returned to Bengal, to Navadvip.
And from Kanainachala he returned to Navadvip.
So, if one wants to relish the pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan,
So if one wants to relish the pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan,
that's particularly Lord Chaitanya was going with that purpose.
particularly Lord Chaitanya was going with that purpose.
And going with a huge crowd of people may not be the most preferred way.
So going with a huge crowd of people may not be the most preferred way.
But if your purpose is to take different people on a tour of Vrindavan,
But if your purpose is to take different people on a tour of Vrindavan,
and like they do the Rajmandal Parikrama,
like they do the Raj Mandal Parikrama,
Many people are attending.
and many people are attending.
Well, I don't like to say that's wrong,
So I don't like to say that it is wrong,
because our previous acharyas did that.
because our previous acharyas did that.
Om Vishnupad Bhakti Vedanta Saraswati Prabhupada,
Om Vishnupad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada.
he also took devotees to the Vrindavan Dham.
He also took devotees to the Vrindavan Dham.
But he also stayed in Radhakunda alone with a few devotees
But he also stayed alone in Radhakunda with a few devotees
and chanted Hare Krishna.
and chanted Hare Krishna.
That time he taught the Prabhupada,
That time he talked to Prabhupada,
our Gurudev.
our Gurudev.
So both things are there.
So both things are there.
If you want to meditate on the Lord's pastimes,
If you want to meditate on the Lord's pastimes,
being a small group may be sometimes more desirable.
being in a small group may sometimes be more desirable.
But if people are going to see Vrindavan,
But if people are going to see Vrindavan,
they want to hear from the devotees, the spiritual masters, the advanced devotees.
they want to hear from the devotees, the spiritual masters, the advanced devotees,
That's a different purpose.
then that's a different purpose.
And when they're attending the Vrindavan Parikrama,
So they're attending the Vrindavan Parikrama
has a different purpose.
as a different purpose.
I can't say it's wrong or right,
I can't say it's wrong or right,
but for different purposes.
but they're different purposes. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narada Muni is a pure devotee of the Lord and comes to the material world in a spiritual body as and when he likes to preach and make devotees. However, we see that Krishna sends all our acharyas and Srila Prabhupada and you, who are pure devotees, to this world in material body for preaching. The material body means suffering for the acharya or spiritual master, and even we disciples are very much pained in our heart to see such suffering of the acharya or spiritual master. Why does Krishna not send our acharyas in spiritual body? Because for him to do this is very easy. Your insignificant spiritual son, Prema Gaurasundara Das.
So we considered that Srila Prabhupada's body was transcendental
So we consider that as Srila Prabhupada's body was transcendental
because he used it always in Krishna's service.
because he used it always in Krishna's service.
Saint Narad Muni was continually traveling throughout the universe.
See, Narada Muni was continually traveling throughout the universe.
He was cursed by his disciples, by the parents of his disciples.
He was cursed by the parents of his disciples,
And he could not stay in any place very long.
that he could not stay in any place for very long.
So Prabhupada told, I've been also cursed like that.
So Prabhupada told, I've been also cursed like that.
And therefore I have various temples all over the world where I cannot stay anywhere.
Therefore, I have my various temples all over the world where I cannot stay anywhere.
And now you have to take this curse.
But now you have to take this curse.
So he passed the curse on to his sannyasi disciples.
So he passed this curse on to his sannyasi disciples.
So curses are not effective in the holy dham.
So curses are not effective in the holy dham.
I can stay in the holy dham.
So I can stay in the holy dham.
But when I go outside, I have to only stay a few days each place.
But when I go outside, I only stay a few days in each place.
So, in the different pastimes of Krishna,
So in the different pastimes of Krishna,
some of the devotees who take different forms.
Some of the devotees take different forms.
And that's Krishna's desire.
So that's Krishna's desire.
Radharani also stays in the universe for many days of life, all life of Brahma.
Narada Muni also stays in the universe for many days or lifetimes of Brahma.
And when the universe is destroyed,
And when the universe is destroyed,
at the end of the day of Brahma,
at the end of the day of Brahma,
Radharani sometimes is in the body of the Garbhodaksha Vishnu.
Narada Muni sometimes he is in the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu.
And he comes out when Brahma wakes up.
And he comes out when Brahma wakes up. Dear Gurudev, please accept my respectful obeisances. Due to work, I need to contact non-devotees from time to time, sometimes more than 4 or 5 hours constantly, and I felt that my consciousness was affected. For a few days, the quality of my chanting dropped directly. How can I maintain my consciousness undisturbed? Your eternal spiritual daughter, Leela Shakti Lalita Devidasi from China.
If you have to talk to people as part of your work,
If you have to talk to people as a part of your work,
see your work is needed for you to engage in the devotional service.
then you can see if your work is needed for you to engage in devotional service.
Everybody has to do something work to maintain their body.
Everybody has to do some work to maintain their body.
So you should talk as little as possible with the clients or people.
You should talk as little as possible with the clients or people.
Remember Krishna always.
But remember Krishna always.
And how what you're doing is also connected to Krishna.
And how what you're doing is also connected to Krishna.
And you have to engage in some small talk with the different people.
And if you have to engage in small talk with the different people,
Keep your mind on Krishna
keep your mind on Krishna
at the same time.
at the same time.
So I would hope that in this way, by Yukta Vairagya,
So I hope that in this way, by Yukta Vairagya,
you can keep your consciousness elevated.
you can keep your consciousness elevated.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.